About a year ago, I took a trip to San Francisco to meet up with a friend of mine. Unlike normal people, the main thing we did instead of leaving the house and socializing was scout for games to play. I particularly wanted to play something mystery-based. And see, mystery is a tricky genre in gaming that several developers tend to stray from. And when I say mystery, I don't mean games like Uncharted or LA Noire. To me, those games, although brilliant, only scratch the surface of what can be done with mystery in games. No, I was looking for something depthy, something that you could either solve or not solve and have it dramatically affect the story. Something that would have me making the thinking emoji face while truly struggling to make the right call on what to do next. And after poking around, my friend remembered a game that he had seen pop up on the Steam indie store that might have been worth trying. Lacuna is a noir adventure game with a unique sci-fi, cyberpunk-esque spin to it. You're a CDI agent forced to make increasingly difficult decisions in order to solve the case of not only a murder, but also the case of a terrorist in the midst of society. I'm not going to go too in detail story-wise, as I don't want to spoil anything at all, but what I will say about Lacuna's plot is that it's very well spread out. Oftentimes with mystery games, or really anything mystery-based, writers forget to evenly balance the mystery with the character development. It's a very important duo. In Lacuna, the main character that you play, Neil Conrad, isn't just some Gary Stu agent who knows everything and he's 007 and he's just on the case and he's amazing at any case he's put on. Conrad is somewhat of a B detective who recently went through a divorce and is looked down upon for his unprofessional behavior in the CDI. I enjoyed the way they approached making this character because they waste no time introducing you to his problems and flaws that make him painfully human.
As I started walking home, I felt angry at myself. Not for failing to show my daughter how much I cared for her, but for actually not caring as much as she would have deserved. At least that's what I thought I felt like at the time. I was under a lot of pressure due to Banny's visit, and I found it hard to think about anything other than work.
It's a very immersive balance. The story isn't on rails. Between working on cases, you can choose to go visit your daughter or ex-wife in order to mend burned bridges, or you can simply pass time by going home and playing with your gecko.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on.
Having to balance your life and the mystery at hand is such a unique and addicting game loop that keeps everything immersive. If you spend too much time on your own personal endeavors, you may miss links that are crucial to the main case. And if you spend too much time on the case, you may lose connection with your family, resulting in a possible different outcome later in the game. This is the type of shit I love to see in dialogue-based games. Choice is not an illusion in this world, and it's clearly shown in the way that the devs made the game. I really admire what the team did here, and personally, it's the first time in a long time that a game with this art style has immersed me so deeply. It's not an easy feat to accomplish. A big part of why that's the case as well is the soundtrack. Julian Columbus absolutely destroyed the music for this game. Traveling around the city, smoking a cig while listening to this, most noir I felt while consuming any form of media. All around, Lacuna was an unforgettable experience, and if you haven't played it, I strongly recommend that you do. I wanted to take a moment before the next segment to talk a bit more about DigiTales themselves. DigiTales is an indie game development team from Germany with a high ambition for making story and dialogue-driven games. As soon as I finished Lacuna, I looked up the game developers to see what other games that they were involved in, and to my surprise, Lacuna was the team's very first release. It's a rarity for first titles to be crafted this well. And not only that, it's also a rarity for their first title to put them on the map popularity-wise. I'll be leaving links to the team's Discord and other social media in the description, as well as a link to their newsletter. Please, please, please go show some support. Indie developers now more than ever are the future of games. They are the heart that keeps the industry beating, and with talent like this so early into the company's career, up is the only way for them to go from here. So to Benedict, David, the programmers for the games that they make, Jasmine and Noah, the writers and UI, Eugenia, Svenja, and Michael, the artists for their art style and the cool things that they make, and Julian, the game designer and composer, thank you so much for the art that you make, and continue making games, please. Aww. And with that, let's go to the next section. On October 27th, DigiTales officially announced a new title that they were working on, and I was so far beyond excited. I can't even explain it. Since the moment I finished Lacuna, I was waiting for another release from them, and to come back with a teaser and a description like this, I was ecstatic.
130 years. This ship is our cradle, our home, and our grave. Nobody alive today will see the end of our mission. You can imagine how that makes some people feel. We all still try to do our part. My job is to keep the peace. But a lot can go wrong in 130 years.
Between Horizons is a narrative 2.5D sci-fi detective adventure. 33 years into Zephyr's journey, its mission is suddenly jeopardized. Can you find the culprit before it's too late? Experience an enthralling story set in a semi-open world that branches and ends based on your choices. What excited me so much about this is that they're clearly staying at their home base, but planning on improving upon the formula that they've already made. And that's always a great sign for me. Oftentimes, after success on a title, game devs feel as though they need to make a complete 180 and prove that they can also make this genre of game, or we can also do this, as they attempt to perform some sort of magic trick where they pull a new game genre out of a hat. But the truth is, the best products are made from improvement, understanding your strong points and continuing to work on them. All of this is to say, I'm excited to hop into another detective mystery with their art style. And speaking of which, this 2.5D design seems to have jumped tenfold. Visually, it looks like Lacuna on steroids, which is extremely exciting for me. Fingers crossed the soundtrack is as experimental and lovely as it was for the first release. And on that point, public disclaimer, when looking forward to any creative release, it's important to manage your expectations and give creators space to breathe. But it's safe to say I'm looking forward to more announcements in 2023. Keep up the good work, DigiTales, and keep creating. Conclusion time. Very much so looking forward to another release from DigiTales. I always love when I see an indie development company that, is focusing on player outreach and speaking to their players, because that is how you get better. You can operate in a cave and just close everything out and hope and pray that your ideas are what get you to the top, but we all know that listening to players, listening to what players want, listening to what players are excited for is how a game is leveled up. That's why AAA struggles so much, is because there's these gargantuan companies that have one small hive brain at the top, the CEO or whoever it may be, who's thinking about investments and who's thinking about, well, how can we do this? How can we do this money-wise? But again, indie companies are the future when it comes to games, and I'm so excited to see new talent like DigiTales come out of nowhere and take the year by storm. Again, I'm going to be leaving links to all of their social media, their Discord, which I actually need to join. What am I trying to say? While recording this, I haven't joined it yet. I've just been quietly admiring from the outside, so I'll be in there at some point as well. Anyways, if you liked this video, please like the video, share it. If you want to subscribe. I'm going to go put some socks on because my feet are freezing. It is currently, what's the temperature right now? And let me look that up before I do the fade out. Don't fade out while I'm looking it up, man.